Right, everybody, welcome back to another talk with Finthentic. As we sit here in our offices on the 2nd of January, it is our first recording for this year, and we found it important to kind of go over some major trends that we noticed in 2022, try to understand where this might continue in 2023, and just help you better prepare if you're looking to start your own brokerage business. So with that being said, Andreas, I think a topic in 2022, something recent, which is fresh in many people's minds and in some people's pockets, is crypto.
Going straight to it, eh? Yes, crypto, we can agree, has been very volatile on the downside.
Yeah.
Mostly. Many things that happen in the market. As Warren Buffett said, every now and then, the tide always exposes what's happening under the sea. And what we have seen in this crypto, let's say, year, is exactly this. Many people, as we heard, say crypto is over, blockchain is over. They seem not to understand that it has nothing to do with crypto. It has to do with the bad actors, as
right.
always.
Many people that don't understand much about the blockchain tend to think this is due to the blockchain, and this is why fraud and misappropriation of funds is possible. What would you say to that?
I don't know how I'm going to say it. I'm going to try to filter it as much as possible because we heard this many times. People don't tend to do their own research, first of all. We have seen it also in the business that we're in. They take everything for granted. Like whoever they listen to, for example, they're going to say, okay, he's an expert of the matter, and I'm going to listen to him. But what we have seen, experts are people that do not know what they do not know. So in this case, this is what happened.
So they overvalue image, I would say, and undervalue experience and expertise in many regards.
100%. Come on.
Yeah.
I think us two can agree this is what we see in the market in general. However, I believe crypto has a lot of future. I mean, if you remember, you got me involved into crypto like 2 years ago, and the adaptability from that 2 years to now is like 180 degrees. And
Right.
I believe a lot in crypto. I believe crypto will be able to make things more, I'm not going to say clean, more professional.
Faster, more transparent. Things are logged on chain. They're there essentially for eternity, or as long as you have access to a web browser. And yeah, it gets more difficult to kind of.
And a mobile phone.
And a mobile phone, of course. But that being said, what do you think this means for trading volumes in crypto and FX/CFD brokers?
Normally, as we've seen in any, let's say, type of volatility, there can either be a lot of volume or less volume. The market conditions we see now in the industry in general, I'm talking about CFD brokerages and in crypto, the volume is going to be much, much lower. There's not so much of demand. People are trying now to save money rather than believing that they can trade.
So in 2023, you think this will continue to remain kind of seasonal, low volume, at least for crypto, as a CFD?
I would like to say no, but the logic thing to say is yes, it's going to continue. It can either go worse, the logic thing. However, what we see now is that everybody believes that. So everybody believes crypto is going to go to 100k. The Bitcoin's going to go to 100k like 1 year ago.
Yeah.
And now they're saying it's dead. So
10k looks very far away.
Yes, I believe, based on what we've seen in the market, it's going to stay like this for at least another 6 months because people are trying to see what's going to happen. It's a normal thing to do. It's either going to pick up or it's going to get worse. So I'm going to say in 6 months it's going to be a bit stable, like is it now in chop area, and then I believe it's going to go.
So it's no longer a good tool for brokers to, perhaps not as strong as it used to be. Look, I've got crypto, can't trade FX CFDs because I have crypto.
100%. It's not a product that is in demand.
We can what do we see in forex, in indices? Because there was a few headlines, record low volumes, record low deposits from OG brokers just as the year was closing.
I don't see volumes picking up for CFD brokers. I don't see new products coming out for CFD brokers. The dealing is going to be very exposed.
Yeah, this is where how good you're dealing and how good you're hedging to at least salvage what volumes you have really matters.
I mean, this is the first bear market for CFD brokerages since the beginning, and we're talking about they went through the ESMA, ESMA and MiFID on 2016 or 17.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen any, let's say, bear market.
Yeah, volumes, if anything, they migrated offshore and they came back with much higher leverage,
Yes.
so it became even more profitable if you were already in the business.
100%. So it's going to be an issue. It's going to be an issue for the CFD brokerages. Which is good for us, let's be honest. Now people are starting to get exposed, companies are starting to get exposed. They didn't have the right setup, and I believe 2023 could be a good year for actual professionals.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a cleaning of the market, just as there is a cleaning of, let's call it mass market retail in crypto. In the same essence, people that are not experts, people that are not professional, people that don't try to extract every dollar that they can and run their brokerage as best they can will definitely go under. And I would not be surprised even if a few big name LPs go under, because right now everyone is still operating in the 2020 mindset, being you would go, here's your platform, execute on this platform, empty, whatever it was. And right now, if you're a liquidity provider, you don't have a way to truly onboard new clients and give them a white label, which is under your server. Of course, you can go to other platforms, but the costs are volume based. It's something that LPs don't like, and therefore the costs that are passed on to their clients are exponentially higher than they used to be.
And let's not forget also to add what you said, which you said it beautifully, by the way,
Yes.
is most of the liquidity providers have their own trading platforms. So they will become, let's say, a monopoly now in this issue, because most of the liquidity providers that have been successful white label providers, they had through, let's say, MT5 or MT4. That's out of the question now, at least for now. But other liquidity providers that have their own trading platforms, they never have been stress tested enough. So
yeah. But also when we sat and we done a full review when the fiasco started, we went through something like almost 20 platforms, and those platforms, while they have a fixed API and you can execute on them, they're not really fit for retail traders. It's not something that a brokerage can offer, and it's attractive to the retail trader.
100%. And brokers do not understand how important the trading platform is. I mean, I can't stress that enough. They had the slam dunk, let's say, MetaTrader 5 and 4. Now they have other trading platforms. Your dealers don't know how to use other trading platforms. I mean, it's so obvious. As you said, we went through 20 trading platforms. For the dealers, we haven't found anyone rather than MT4 and MT5 to be able to let's say, tolerate the broker's appetite.
The broker and dealing itself, the other platforms, apart from the front end, which is not really retail based, the back end itself is not as robust as the older platforms, and there's a reason that dealers are kind of reluctant to even sit and look at it. We've seen platforms where the back end was, my God, you would pull your eyes out if you saw it. But let's move on to operational costs. So with all these problems, obviously operational expenditure is higher than it used to be. And one of the big themes of 2022 is a lot of jumps for licensing.
Yes.
What do you think happens? What have we seen firsthand happen with pricing in licensing?
First of all, we'll start with the following. We've seen like 9 out of 10 brokers before the MetaTrader fiasco, if we can say it a fiasco, closed. Now, what we can see, because of the operational costs that increased, you get more serious players in. You have it more professionally structured, because before it was like, okay, you give me price feeds, I give you a platform, let me put it in,
No need license.
nothing.
I can do whatever I want.
Now, if you want to build a brokerage, of course, it's a very profitable business if you have the client. Sorry, however, you need to do it correctly. So we've seen a lot of brokers that want to get licenses, which is the best thing to do. You are more safeguarded. The trading platforms will be able to provide you all the necessary tools you require with all the plugins that you require, because that's another point that brokers do not understand. So with licensing, you can have your bank accounts, which again, it takes another problem from the equation, which is PSPs and bank accounts.
Yeah, if you have a respectable license, obviously it's easier to onboard with these kind of providers, which you need.
But what we have noticed through the licensing is there's a lot of price gouging.
Yes, and partly in fault of the brokers, because they put out one inquiry to 10 counterparties, and when somebody has a license and they're selling it and they keep seeing inquiry after inquiry after inquiry, you're squeezing yourself. You know, instead it's much better to have someone that you trust and someone that you work with and that has access to a good deal of licenses, and he can help you out.
Of course, and let's not forget, I mean, we talked with many providers, and what we have noticed is that they do not understand what they're selling. That's what.
Well,
not all of them. Not all of them.
There's no technical knowledge required. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry can say, "Oh, I know someone that's selling a license," and it may be a scam. There may be no license. They may be a middleman of a middleman of a middleman.
Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah. So basically, you get lost in translation, because each counterparty knows something, but he provides the information to the other counterparty with less information, and goes on, and goes on. So this is what we have noticed. That there's a lot of room of improvement. It shows that not many licenses have been sold previously, if you see this type of price gouging.
Very opaque market.
But now we're going to start seeing, like, providers are going to be more professional, I suppose. You're going to see a better pricing on licensing. 2023, what I can say for now regarding the licensing and everything, I think it's going to be more tidy. I don't know, I believe it's going to be more tidy. We have noticed it through clients that come to us. They know what they're asking now.
Well, somebody that comes to the table knowing they need to spend at least 6 figures to get a license and start a legitimate business, they approach it in a very different mindset than somebody that had a call center and, you know, I want the whole shebang for
100%, and
3 figures.
Yeah, and that's perfect. That's perfect. We're gonna see in business wise, I believe 2023 could be the best year. So licensing is something that we have seen that had a lot of attraction.
So we mentioned let's kind of summarize some things that brokers or startups should absolutely secure or seek to secure in the coming year. The first thing you mentioned is if they're already online, using their flow as best as they can, obviously without taking too much risk, but how can I maximize this flow, be it hedging, be it better dealing, be it changing my commercial conditions and still being competitive, because while we're in a high inflation environment, it's probably difficult to see retail finding extra money to come and trade at a brokerage. The second thing that we just touched on now is licensing, and why, fortunately or unfortunately, going forward it's almost mandatory already, and why it's good for the business. And then finally, what's one last thought that you would leave brokers with for 2023? Something that can help them succeed outside of these two.
I think they need to take the operational side more seriously. Like, now is the time to check your providers. What do I mean? Your technology providers, your liquidity providers. Put everything into order. Starting to listen to more professionals. And what I mean professionals, like, I know we emphasize a lot on the dealing, but dealing is an alpha and the omega when it comes to an operation that has to do with money and with the brokerage, correct? to start listening to them more often. I will go as far and say that even the dealers need to have some skin in the game when it comes to managing money, because risk management of a broker it's a very important question. I mean, how do you manage risk? Which we're gonna say to another video on later stages.
Big topic, yeah.
So brokers now need to put their operations into, let's say, a nice order. Have always discussions with your liquidity provider. I can guarantee you, many brokers do not have discussions constantly with your liquidity provider. I mean, they are the ones who are managing your risk, allegedly, correct? So that's another key point. Licensing, start taking licensing much more seriously. The bank accounts through EMIs, or let's say in your PSPs, you need to also have an eye on that. I'm sure we've seen it many times. They can fix everything. I can tell you for now, for sure.
Wirecard.
Many things.
I don't know if you saw it. Revolut just delayed their financial statement for the last quarter. So
things are going to come out now that we don't even know the contagion of FTX. We haven't seen it, and I'm sure there's not only crypto retailers and the institutions have not been exposed that much.
Yeah. So there will be EMIs.
I'm sure they're going to be EMIs. A lot of EMIs. A lot of.
Especially if you're accepting to sell and buy crypto, they usually use some third-party exchange.
Yes. So there's many things to have that. I mean, the brokers have a lot of work to do, and thank God we're going to have a lot of work to do. Which is, I mean, we can discuss like we had a really great year.
Yeah, it was good. 2022 was good in many regards. I think it was tough in many regards, but you know, the people that treat just anything in their life professionally tend to keep doing well. And with that being said, so I fully agree with you. You know, dealing and understanding risk and trying to maximize your revenues through the flow that you have makes absolute sense. I think building better, safer relationships with your LPs, and also understanding exactly what you are to the LP, you're a client to the LP, is important. And finally, the last point, which is probably the most important, apart from licensing, is be professional. If you're not coming to the table and ready to treat this as a real business, it's not going to work out. You know, it's better if you perhaps open an online casino or what have you. And again, I can guarantee you, wherever you go, if you're not being professional, it's very, very difficult to succeed. The easy days are done in many regards. We will see you guys in Dubai. We will be there for the IFX Expo. So we'll be in town from January 14th to 19th.
14th to 19th, yes.
If you'd like to meet up, if you'd like to discuss starting your own brokerage, if you'd like to discuss licensing, if you'd even just like to discuss risk management and how we view things and how it might be smart for you to kind of view things in the coming year, if you're already online, send us a message, drop it here on LinkedIn, YouTube, what have you, or send it straight to info@finthentic.com. See you on the next one.